Hello everyone, Xylee here. Today's a bit of an odd episode, being it's the only video yearly that isn't on the 29th. I also wanted to say happy really late Hallmark holiday, Valentine's Day, since that was less than 2 weeks ago. I know I'm late, but still. 2 or so days ago, an update dropped for Darkdivers, and I thought it'd be best to discuss what's new in Darkdivers 0.6. I only had a few days for this video, so I'm really sorry if it seems rushed. Well, let's get started, actually. Let's look over what the patch note says and talk about some things that changed in the categories. Though, before we begin, let's look at the new codes for this event. Omnicron for 10k credits, Omega for 10 Hell Crystals, and 10k Discord for 10 Hell Crystals. While we're on the topic of things, let's answer some of the questions I had filling the comments last video, just to prevent them from this video. How do you get that upgraded armor? Yo, bro, tell me how to get that flying suit. How do you get the jetpack? How do I fly? Why does everyone have Sigma X? Okay, let's take things one step at a time. Getting Sigma X is very simple. All you need is 500,000 credits and wait for an event. Every update, an event will begin where everything is on sale for 500,000 credits for 7 days. Once an event drops, make sure to go to the dealer and purchase it for 500,000 credits. Once you purchase Sigma X, limit break it twice. This will cost you 500,000 credits and 50 Hell Crystals. No, you cannot limit break it more than twice. If you say you have, you're lying. I believe the misconception is that you can limit break it 10 times comes with the Darkdivers wiki. It should say 60% next to the damage and 10 plus 2 next to the level. If it says 55 or 50, or just 10 plus 1 or 10 with no extra numbers, that means you've limit broken it once or not at all. Once limit broken, go evolve at the evolution station for 200,000 credits and 200 Hell Crystals. Overall, this will cost 300,000 credits and 300 Hell Crystals, not including getting Sigma X to level 10. Hard, but worth it. I will talk about how to farm crystals in my new revamped method in Chapter 6. Well, people are also asking what the best armor in the game is, and I think I have an answer, but it's not as easy as just this is good and this is bad. I'll be doing a tier list and sorting by uses. Let's begin. For S tier, we have Elite Dark Dive. From what I've heard, it's the best armor. I'm also going to be grouping in pre-0.6 Thorn Dive in S tier since it was amazing. I'll talk about the nerf later in the video. Warlord is here too, since the extra health, stamina, and main weapon damage is one of the best. Endive would be a good A tier choice. It's not amazing, but it gets the job done. I'll group in Doom Dive in A because of the same reason. Great for DPS and the ability's pretty good. B tier, we have Dark Dive. It's good for all around and has pretty good use cases, similar to Unslave. Beast is also in B instead of C due to glitching, and the stamina makes it great when paired with the Sigma X Evolved. Reap is also in B. It's not horrible, and it's pretty good when paired with the Gifter RPG, but in actuality, nobody uses the Reap Dive for a reason. C tier is Ghost Dive. It's more gimmicky than anything, and you'll risk killing your teammates, and it just doesn't have good enough cooldown. It only lasts 7 seconds, and that 7 seconds is not long enough. Mercy is also C tier, being it's really only viable with teammates. If Mercy had a better ability, it would definitely be moved up to B or even A. For F tier, Thorn Dive is objectively now the worst armor, so it's going in F. Pumpkin as well, since, well, nobody owns it and it's just a gimmick armor for Halloween. Now, let's look back at these questions. Yes. How do I get the Flamethrower, and do you have any tips on how to get a lot of credits as a new player? Yes, I actually do. If you refer back to the previous video, these are 1,000 wins for Amon, and 2,000 wins for Cybrox and Aradise. Freeing Amon will unlock the FM44 Dragon's Breath with purchase at the vending machine. Freeing Cybrox unlocks the Endive, and freeing Aradise unlocks the Sigma W. Now, how exactly do we even get these items? Well, every time you want to get an armor, weapon, or gadget, you need to roll for it, like a gacha game, except not very expensive. Earning credits is actually really easy. Freeing moons and talking to the sergeant earns you credits depending on the difficulty of the moon, along with bowing to the floating suit at the rolling area awards you anything from 1,000 to 20,000 credits, so be sure to check that daily. You wait for the major order. Once it says completed on the board, you can roll for it. Get it to level 10 as soon as possible, as you can't upgrade it while the major order is gone. This doesn't apply to limit breaking or evolving for the record, since that's a different system. As for getting credits for new players, I'd actually recommend completing lower tier missions in your off time and claiming them at the Sergeant for however credits they're worth. Again, this will be talked about in my farming section in Chapter 6. Skip ahead if you want to go straight there. Now, there was one more comment that I was... Question. Dark Moon Chapter 2 or Endless Hell for the next update. I want to see your opinion. And I replied, Dark Moon Chapter 2. And the creator of the game commented on my video. Did I cause this? Finally, the part you've been waiting for. Chapter 2 for Dark Moon. It opens with requiring you to defeat a set number of enemies, 40 on normal, 80 on elite, and 90 on omega. We'll discuss the Omega difficulty in Chapter 4, don't worry. Couple things I learned for this. The flamethrower is one of the best weapons for Dark Moon Chapter 2. Although the range is pretty awful, the constant DPS and high ammo capacity is definitely something to appreciate. Judgment Evo is just one of the best guns in the game, so that's also being grouped in here. You cannot leave the top of the temple with the flag. I was dumb my first few attempts, and instead of standing up there and trying to live, I kept trying to run down and got confused when the flag vanished. Sigma X Evo will not be useful here since you can't wear the suit while holding the flag. Doing Dark Moon Chapter 2 on anything harder than normal is, no offense, borderline impossible. Soloing is very, very difficult, and I honestly don't even think I'll be able to do it. But here's the strategy. Enemy count is in multiples of 2, meaning that soloing a moon will have the same count as duoing, but doing trios will have the same amount as squad. See the picture? Doing odd numbers is dumb. The best chance it will be is that player counts 2, 4, 6, and 8. Oh, also, 2 new gadgets have been added, the Omnicron F and the Sigma 1 Evolution. I can't tell you what the Sigma 1 Evo does yet, but I can for the Omnicron F. I leveled it up to max forever using it, so you'll only see the level 10 version of it. The Omnicron F is basically a mix between Sigma W and the drone from Endive. The design is absolutely beautiful. It looks like a mechanical vulture, and I find that absolutely awesome. It does 20 damage per second, but it's the first passive Sigma, meaning it's always active. Although 20 damage per second is half of what the Sigma W does, I believe it's worth it because there's no cooldown to it, so it's just constantly outputting DPS. Is it worth it? I'd say yes, more so than Sigma W even. It also seems to be much faster than the Endive drone, being about double the speed when it gets out of range. The Sigma 1 Evo is basically just a nuke. From what I know and what I've seen, it's a better Sigma Thor. Does 4,000 damage, as a pretty long cooldown compared to the standard form. Not much to really discuss about it. Truth be told, the first run of Dark Moon Chapter 2 I did was on the Omega difficulty. I thought it would be easy. Well, I got wiped out almost immediately. Next run, instead of learning my lesson and picking a different difficulty, I just switched my gun and went back for round 2. Something I learned is they also nerfed Thorn Dive heavily. Instead of the cooldown beginning as soon as you use the shield, allowing you to spam it in certain cases, you're instead forced to wait until the shield breaks for the cooldown. I personally hate this change, as it removes major functionality with Thorn Dive, but it's also not my game. They also half the health it takes to destroy it. Instead of absorbing 300 as stated previously, it now only absorbs 150. There's another map with the Omega difficulty, and that's Paradise Chapter 2. I tried Omega with the Darkslayer and realized the sword does basically no damage at the beginning. So if I wanted to use Sigma X Evo, I would need something that has a big damage buff and a big stamina buff as well. Sadly, I don't own Warlord, so until I get that, this will be very difficult. I attempted using the Flamethrower. That went about as well as you would expect. Switched to the Judgment, and it did better actually, but I still managed to die. Okay, let me switch to Beast. Huge health buff, and it has good stamina buff as well, so I might as well give it a shot. It actually went better than I expected it to. I got 2 of the 3 nests destroyed, and I think with the right setup, this could be it. I decided to try with a group, and all 3 of it got killed. Then again, it wasn't really my choice, and so y'all just kind of joined. I'm marking the Omega difficulty as impossible to solo, at least for now. Maybe when I have Warlord or Elite Dark Dive, it may be more possible, but for now, this just isn't going to work. The next day, I came back at it, determined to complete Omega Paradise Chapter 2. I switched to M-Dive and the Omnicron F, seeing if it would make so much of a difference. It actually made a huge difference. I don't know how, but I somehow managed to breeze through the first section without issue. Although, the second section where you needed to destroy the nests, it began immediately, dooming me. I knew I was dead when it began because I didn't have enough time to get my health up or my armor ready, so that was a guaranteed death. Let's try that again, same setup as before, but avoiding placing the turrets or anything too close to potentially hit the enemies over the wall. Second run went great, until my armor broke and 2 worm eggs immediately killed me without a chance at survival. That was fun. Attempt 3, here we go. I had a bit of a weird idea. What if I put on my armor and waited for the cooldown? Well, the auto rockets kind of killed that idea. Run went well, took out all 3 nests, until my armor broke and I got ragdolled. As I killed the 3rd nest, I got killed while my armor was still spawning. I hate this game so much. Round 4 is up now, and I think I'm confident enough to make a list of strategies. High damage doesn't really matter here since there's so many enemies. You want something with splash damage like the Gifter or the Judgment. As much as I despise the Judgment, it's not bad here. I actually hate the Judgment. I think it's one of the worst weapons in the game, but I can't deny that it is kind of good. Crowd control is useful, but the FM44 is not. The reason being is range, and you don't have nearly enough health to tank the close-up shots with it. It'd be viable in any other case, just not here. Endive also seems to have the best results when paired with Sigma X and the Omnicron F due to it having a 37.5% extra damage buff to gadgets. This is also why I recommend against using Dome and Fall, as they don't count for that damage buff. Once the second section begins, you're screwed if you're not ready. Be ready before it begins. Have your Sigma X fully repaired and hopefully halfway through the cooldown. If not, that's fine, it's still doable. Now, it's time for the real attempt. Well, everything went great again, until the end. Destroy the nest, repair my Sigma X, and I'm immediately killed again by those dumb ragdolling worms. Adding something to those strategies, kill the worm eggs before doing anything. They will end your run right there. 5th attempt now, and I actually made it past the first section. Destroyed the 3 nests and made out alive, waited the 180 seconds for my Sigma X armor cooldown to restart, and I'm golden for this win. Well, as soon as I got there, I couldn't even destroy 1 nest before getting killed. I'm marking this difficulty as entirely impossible to solo, at least with the equipment I have. It was easier with the Omnicron and Endive, but the Thorn nerf is what really makes this a challenge. I'll come back and attempt this again in the future, but for now, it's not possible, at least not for me. I don't know what I really expected. Omega Eredice only has 56 wins ever, and Omega Darkmoon only has 5 wins ever, so I don't really know what I expected. So what can I add to the game? Well, I think a few things need to happen. I think one of the best updates would be a secondary Evo, preferably something like the Laborman or the Freedom 1. Along with this, I want to see more unique primary evolution. The Messiah turns into a 50 cal and the Shotgun turns into a Plasma Shotgun. Okay, but those are really similar to their base counterparts. What if instead they release something like an evolution for the Darkslayer? The sword could be a good one, or better yet, an evolution for the Liberator. Hear me out. The triple rotary chain gun from Doom would be amazing. Insanely fast but drains ammo, constantly needs to be reloaded and stuff. It could be really interesting to see. I would also love an armor evolution, maybe for Mercy to allow you to heal a lot faster, or just do something with Ghost since nobody really touches it. I don't know, I just think there's a lot of cool ideas that you could do. I do think nerfing Thorndive was, again, a really bad idea, since now the Thorndive kind of just sucks. But that's just me. Actually, no, that's even a lie. It's not just me. A lot of people are angry about Thorndive being heavily nerfed. Like, if they nerfed it in one way, that's understandable. But they nerfed it in both. Half the health and can't spam it. It's now one of the most useless armors in the game. So, you've either watched the video or skipped to this point for farming crystals. Great, and I'm glad to see you here. Now, you want crystals and credits, right? Well, for credits, claiming at the Sergeant and bowing to the floating character at spawn. For crystals, things get a little bit more difficult due to the Thorndive nerf discussed a second ago. So, what do? Well, here's the required items to kill Satan on Elite. Max level everything. Make sure everything is level 10 before even thinking of attempting it. This does not include limit breaking. The best armors post 0.6 is Dark Dive, Doom Dive, and End Dive when paired with the right gadgets. I can only recommend Dark Dive as of right now for this, but it's doable with Doom and End Dive, just a little bit harder. I'll discuss why in a moment. For the gadgets, you need either the Omnicron F or the Sigma W. Both are major order items. You also need the Sigma X non-Evo and the Sigma Rain. You can swap the Omnicron or W or Rain for Fall if you're stuck with teammates that are that bad. Speaking of teammates, you need at least one other person. I recommend going with at least 3 friends, making a total of 4 players. As for weapons, your secondary does not matter. You'll need the Judgment Evo for this, or another weapon that does splash damage without ragdolling you. If you don't have the Judgment Evo, use the SW9 Darkslayer. If you don't have Robux, use the FM44 Dragon's Breath. The Gifter will ragdoll you and will not be viable for this. If you don't have any of these, you'll be fine, but it will just take so much longer since you won't be able to damage Satan. Now, this may be patched in the future, and I'm kind of sabotaging myself for telling you this strategy, but nobody knows how to do it anyway besides me. This is what I call the stair strategy, where you clip below the stairs for Unknown 666, also known as Satan, to continue attacking you. Step 1 is to get to the end of the map. Kill Big Guy, kill the tower, get inside the castle. Set up 2 players besides the gargoyles, 1 by the throne, and stand by the stairs. Step 2 is to throw your Sigma X unevolved at the center of the stairs. Spam E and equip your primary as fast as you can. You should continue getting flung into the areas your mech clips into the ground. Step 3 is to get into your mech, once clipped below the stairs, and move around a little bit to free it. This will be important. Have one of your friends grab a crystal at this point. By step 4, Satan should be targeting you. Once you're being targeted, fire at the ceiling and confirm damage is being dealt to Satan. Only one attack can damage you. Step 5. As Satan uses the laser, the only damage that can kill you, get in the mech. Once the laser goes away, hop out and continue firing at the ceiling. When the mech gets destroyed, spawn another. Remember to spam your Sigma W and Sigma Rain if you have it. These 2 do the most damage to Satan per second compared to any others. Repeat this for about 20 minutes. Depending on how many players and depending on how much damage you're doing, the times will vary. Once Satan is killed, you can have one of your friends grab the flag and you just earn 16 crystals. This takes way less time than my previous strategy, which is pretty crude and didn't work nearly as well. Wow, you've made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. I actually had a lot of fun making this one, but it does feel a bit rushed, even as I'm writing it. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to drop a like or even subscribe. I'm halfway on my goal to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and I think it's doable with enough luck. Thank you for watching, and I really hope you have a nice day. As a reminder, we have a Discord. If you'd like to chat with me and some others, host game nights, or even just mess around with things like Darkdivers and criminality, we're welcoming to all kinds of people. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and stay very safe. Ciao!